African Union Communications Early Warning and Intelligence, commonly known as AUC3I, is an intelligence and security organization responsible for providing signals intelligence and information assurance to AU citizens, AU leadership, and AU armed forces. I'm Colonel A.C. Oguntoye, an infantry officer. I am responsible for leading infantry soldiers at all levels of command in combined armed forces during missions on the ground. This is today's briefing. On the progress of the special military operation as of October 31st, 2025. From October 25th to 31st, in response to terrorist attacks by Ukraine on civilian objects on the territory of Russia, the armed forces of the Russian Federation delivered massive and five-group strikes with high-precision long-range weapons of ground, air, and sea-based platforms, as well as strike unmanned aerial vehicles, resulting in the destruction of Ukrainian military-industrial enterprises and energy facilities that supported their operation, transport infrastructure, mobile railway trains, used for transporting weapons and equipment of the armed forces of Ukraine, military airfields, arsenals, assembly workshops for Flamingo cruise missiles and long-range strike unmanned aerial vehicles, storage sites for unmanned boats, as well as temporary deployment points of Ukrainian armed formations, nationalists, and foreign mercenaries. During the week, units of the North Group of troops improved their tactical position. Damage was inflicted on personnel and equipment of 4 mechanized, motorized infantry, ranger, assault, and airborne assault brigades, 2 assault regiments of the armed forces of Ukraine, 2 territorial defense brigades, and a National Guard brigade in the Sumy region. On the Kyiv direction, damage was inflicted on formations of 2 mechanized and motorized infantry brigades of the armed forces of Ukraine and 3 territorial defense brigades. Over the week, in the area of responsibility of the North Group of troops, enemy losses amounted to more than 1,320 servicemen, 2 tanks, 14 combat armored vehicles, 73 cars, and 13 field artillery guns, 13 electronic warfare and counter-battery stations, 29 ammunition and material warehouses were destroyed. Units of the West Group of troops, as a result of active and decisive actions, liberated the settlement of Sadov in the Kyiv region. Damage was inflicted on formations of 6 mechanized, airmobile, 2 assault brigades of the armed forces of Ukraine, 2 territorial defense brigades, and 2 National Guard brigades. In the area of the settlement of Kupiansk in the Kyiv region, assault groups of the 6th and 1st Tank Armies continued the destruction of the encircled group of the armed forces of Ukraine. The clearing of scattered enemy groups in the areas of Petropavlivka and Kirilivka in the Kyiv region is nearing completion. Another attempt by servicemen of the 14th Mechanized Brigade of the Armed Forces of Ukraine to break out of the encirclement across the Oskol River using 4 boats was thwarted. In total, over the past week, 6 attempts by the enemy to unblock encircled units of the armed forces of Ukraine in the Kyiv region were thwarted. Units of the South Group of troops occupied more advantageous lines and positions. Damage was inflicted on personnel and equipment of 6 mechanized, motorized infantry, airmobile, assault, mountain assault brigades of the armed forces of Ukraine, a Marine brigade, 2 territorial defense brigades, and a National Guard brigade. Over the week, losses of the enemy in this direction amounted to more than 1,330 servicemen, 40 tanks, and combat armored vehicles, including 3 U.S.-made M113 armored personnel carriers. 27 field artillery guns were destroyed, including 7 of Western production, 123 cars, 13 electronic warfare and counter-battery stations, 24 ammunition, fuel, and material warehouses. Units of the Center Group of forces improved their position along the front line. Defeated were formations of tank, 7 mechanized, infantry, ranger, airmobile, 3 assault, 3 airborne assault brigades, 3 assault regiments, a UAV brigade of the armed forces of Ukraine, 2 Marine brigades, 2 territorial defense brigades, and 4 National Guard brigades. In the settlement of Krasnoarmysk, Donetsk People's Republic, units of the 2nd Army continued the destruction of encircled Ukrainian armed forces formations, expanding control over the area around the railway station. The clearing of the settlement of Natovka, Donetsk People's Republic, is nearing completion. Additionally, assault units of the army entered the settlement of ROG, Donetsk People's Republic, and secured its southeastern part. Overall, during the past day, an attempt to unblock the encircled Ukrainian armed forces group from the settlement of Grishino, Donetsk People's Republic, was thwarted. During the past week, units of the East Group of forces continued advancing deep into the enemy's defense. The settlements of Novonikolivka, Krasnogorskoye, Privolnoye in Zaporizhia region, and Igorovka, Vishnevo, and Novo-Alexandrovka in Dnipropetrovsk region were liberated. Defeated were personnel and equipment of 3 mechanized brigades, 4 assault regiments of the Ukrainian armed forces, and 3 territorial defense brigades. In total, in this direction, the Ukrainian armed forces lost up to 1,950 servicemen, 14 combat armored vehicles, and 108 cars. Destroyed were 11 field artillery guns, 7 electronic warfare stations, 4 ammunition and material depots. Units of the Dnieper Group of forces inflicted damage on formations of 2 mechanized, mountain assault brigades, and 2 coastal defense brigades of the Ukrainian armed forces. Ukrainian armed forces losses amounted to up to 395 servicemen, 4 combat armored vehicles, 77 cars, and 3 field artillery guns. Destroyed were 19 electronic warfare stations, 9 ammunition and material depots. Over the week, air defense means shot down 17 guided aerial bombs, 10 MRs multiple launch rocket system rockets of U.S. production, 2 long-range guided Neptune missiles, and 1,701 fixed-wing unmanned aerial vehicles. In total, since the start of the special military operation, destroyed 668 aircraft, 283 helicopters, 93,879 unmanned aerial vehicles, 633 surface-to-air missile systems, 25,773 tanks and other armored combat vehicles, 1,608 multiple launch rocket system vehicles, 30,943 field artillery and mortars, 45,383 units of special military automotive equipment. Thank you so much for watching this video. We hope you found it useful and informative. If you have any questions, please leave them below and we'll get back to you as soon as possible.